Hopefully people can hear me. There's no one in here yet, so I'm safe. So I'm just gonna chill with Nightbot and whoever's listening. I've only been alive for 13 seconds. Oh, I probably should close the music as well. Oops. Testing, 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 testing. I love to go shopping at the mall to buy everything from candy to overalls. A little bit louder? I don't know if I can get any louder. Which... Ah, okay. I was really scared because I'm at 100. Hello, everybody, and well met. Thanks for tuning into our finale of Shards of Anarion. I am your host and DM, Graham or Graham Crackers. If this is your first time tuning into the channel, here at Graham Crackers we are all about making memories with friends, whether those are through TTRPGs, RPGs, or MMORPGs. The real prize at the end of any dungeon is friendship. And tonight I am joined for the finale of Season 1 by such wonderful friends that I know they need no introduction, but all the same I would like to know 3 things. 1, who are they? 2, who are they playing? And 3, usually I ask a question, but I'm going to ask a lot of questions tonight. So, 3 will be, what is one minute detail about your character that no one got to know?
Graham. So tough. I'm Truk. I play Grok, the Lizard Folk Death Cleric, purely Death Cleric. And one minute. So his first kill was a Tempest Rock, but an infant Tempest Rock, and about died doing that too. But how he got there, that's a different story altogether. I'll leave it at that. L.
Oh, hi, I'm L, and I play Kier, the Turtle Wizard Druid. Wizard Druid. Yeah, all the castings. One minute thing. Probably that she actually has to spend 2 to 3 hours as part of her morning ritual to regrow flowers and vines that she ripped off her shell using for spells the previous day. Is kind of her like morning communion thing. Derek?
Everybody, I'm Derek Sword. I had the honor of playing Verban, Knoll, a ranger, grave cleric. Let's see, a minor thing about Verban. I mean, it kind of came up every now and then that he hunted humanoids, but I'm not sure it ever came up that he had like a small trophy collection, very very predator-esque of skulls that he had to leave behind when he was exiled. So maybe he'll go claim those one of these days. The wall decoration is important. And I'll hand it off to Fox.
Hi, I'm Fox. I play Brodus, and I don't know if it's a minute detail that no one ever got to know, but it's a minute detail. Brodus is a bard. So
Fucking liar.
there you go.
A
Farrah?
liar? I've never seen him play one.
Shots fired. Pew pew.
The only shots we saw fired from Brodus were Eldritch Blast, let's be honest.
Yeah,
Just keep on coming.
Or his cape.
and I think one crossbow shot, which Ning caught, so that really didn't do anything. Nope.
Hey guys, I am Pharaoh. I will be playing Sinra Sattermin, a Leonin Warlock Paladin, or played or will play. I don't know. We're in limbo. It's an epilogue. One minor thing that never came up. So the reason that she was interested in trying to specifically cure the King of the Dwarves' father is because she had met his father in her youth, so thought that he would be able to vouch for her back in the Crystal Caverns.
Neat. I'm Vinny. I play Zadar, the Dragonborn Rogue, and a minute detail about him would be a detail that doesn't really matter, I guess. That would only be about him. The village. The name of the village he's from is called Cedar Glen. Scandalous.
Yeah, wow. All right. So, because it's an epilogue, we're going to do things a little differently. Much like the other Tuesday game, at the end of this campaign, you all split the party.
Mhm.
So, you know what? Let's start with Brodus, I think. Let's
Woo!
get some
Appropriate.
music
Yeah.
going.
It's probably pretty short though, right? Because without the rest of us to protect him, he probably like licked off the wrong person and got murdered immediately
Not
after
even
he left
the
us.
minute Brodus exited the portal, dire wolves just jumped him. Just
Well, game over.
Good.
all right, Brodus. Where last we left you, you had stepped out of the portal from beyond time and space to your ancestral home, long forgotten in the woods and the mountains. This homely yet cold and rather dull homestead that has been carved into the mountainside. It has an overgrown garden in the front with various wild herbs that have kind of taken root. The roofing that kind of slopes from the mountain to allow runoff of the water is overgrown with grass and moss. And there's a simple oak door. And in your hand is a key. And to the right of this door is a dog with a collar around its neck, looking at you expectantly.
Yeah, I'm just gonna walk up to the dog and the house.
The house doesn't move.
Great. That's always the positive sign.
Yep. The dog looks at you, and as you kind of approach, it bows its head just a little bit and goes to sniff your shoes.
I'll bow my head in kind towards the dog, but not sniff the dog's feet. You know, respect.
Of course.
Mhm.
The dog begins to kind of circle around you, sniffing, its tail wagging a mile a minute. And then it sits next to the door. Where
Okay.
it once waited.
I'll take that as a sign that I shall open the door. So, yeah, I'll go ahead, take the key, try it in the lock, and if the door unlocks, swing it open.
The door gives way without any resistance, the key fitting perfectly into the mold. The key itself is crafted with dwarven excellence, and you hear the audible click, and the door kind of opens in, filtering the sunlight of it's about late afternoon. And it reveals this stone-carved table and chairs. A fireplace that seems to have at some point funneled up to the mountainside and out somewhere around the top. But it has a lot of brickwork that's kind of begun to crumble and is in ill repair. There is a side room to the right and another room down to the back. It looks like there are only 4 rooms in this house in total, one of which has this natural stream that kind of feeds into a pool for bathing, and one is a bedroom. The bed is long since rotted away, and in the back room is a series of bookshelves, each with ancient writings of various dwarven, elvish, human authors ranging several centuries. There are music pieces that are left almost in like glass containers of unfinished works. There are instruments all around the room, kind of placed on hooks along the wall itself. And in the center is a symbol you recognize.
It's not the eye that's on the bottom of my foot, is it?
It absolutely is.
Oh, great. Is it like on a rug or like?
It is on a book, on the front
Okay.
of a book that looks like it has an indentation on the front cover that you could put your palm on.
Okay. Prost isn't gonna touch it this time.
All right.
He is going to look around, take a look at his modest home now, and I think the thing that Brodus wants to do right now is honestly put as much of the bed as he can back together and take the longest sleep of his life, because he has not slept for a while.
All right. You're easily enough able to gather some blankets that have been kind of stored in those glass containers, keeping them from the ravages of time. And you're kind of able to pile some of the softer rocks in the house, I'm assuming. And you settle down for the first sleep in as far as you can remember. And the dog kind of walks in behind you and shuts the door itself and walks over to the bed with you and stands watch.
And, I feel over the course of the next while, Brodus is going to sit there on a daily basis, wake up, find something to eat, repair what he can of the home in a day, go to sleep, and just keep, prepping that modest life for himself. Or so he thinks.
I love it. I think that our scene ends with the adventuring life behind Brodus for the moment. No wars to be fought, no business deals to be made, just a simple dwarf with simple days.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get a music change while we go over to Sinra and Garak. Sinra, Garak, where we last left the two of you, you had teleported far away from your companions as the Starless Ones assailed the realm with very little chance of escape. The two of you called upon Null and his power, bringing forth a wall to buy you enough time to flee back to where your journey started many, many moons ago, in a dusty crypt in the Plain of Bones, towards the outskirts, in a long-forgotten, far-off burial mound. You were greeted by several Leonin, who, Garak, you've only ever heard of them in stories that Sinra's told you. Of which there have probably been very little, besides names. But Brion, Azathi, and 2 Leonin children had greeted you. Brought back from death by the very creature and entity that so long ago brought Sinra back. Our scene starts, I think, about maybe 10 minutes after where our scene ended. After the hugs and the tears and the breath of relief of not being murdered has fled. Brion is garbed in this elaborate plate. He, much like Sinra, has armor very similar. The embellishments and the embossing is all along his shoulders and the chest plate. His fur is this golden, almost a golden white. And he has these bright blue eyes, but his muzzle is kind of beginning to gray just a little bit. And on his hip is a blade, or at least the hilt of a blade, with no actual blade as part of it. And it is kind of this circular hilt that has a strap that is tied to the belt that you can kind of pull it off. And he approaches the two of you. But how did you get here?
I do not know the specifics. Garrock. This is my companion. A priest of Null. I have seen him call for his god and his god answer. How did we come to be here?
It would seem that we are tied here. Its strongest. I've sent here on some purpose, and this seems to be it.
To find them. But
Perhaps.
what use does your god have of my...
Does not speak much of it. But there's great importance of the timing of this to happen, and I don't know the answers yet.
And
Which is why I need time.
And your god brought all of us back? And Sinra?
No, that was another. A not god and being between realms. timeless one playing with us like toys.
It requires more time to explain. Not here.
When you came here, you saw the state of the plains. Did you carve your way through knolls?
Brion kind of flashes a very white teeth smile. More a ferocious gesture, I think, to most people. And he pats his blade. Of course. After all, they did this to all of us. They did this to you.
I remember.
I am sorry I wasn't there for you when it happened.
You weren't meant to be. It was... I was going back. It was... I did not pay enough attention. I was never ready like you were.
None of us were ready for what happened, Starlight. They came at us with demons and with fur and claw. Despite how many of us there were, and the Loxodon and the other creatures were devoured quickly, we held on as long as we could. I don't think I made it to the end.
That's what the history book said. That you got old. And our daughter had daughters of her own.
He kind of looks to the two younger lean-in that have kind of been looking behind him. Not really sure what to make of you. One kind of like peeks out. Hello?
You're just a little cub, aren't you?
I am 7 summers old.
That is very old. So big. You're going to be taller, aren't you? Taller than him.
And stronger.
She's gonna kind of like crouch down, and if they don't recoil, we'll kind of like lift them up.
They don't recoil from the touch, kind of, they have their grandfather there and they just kind of get hoisted up. They are very slender, I guess is the term, is not malnourished, but you get the sense that, with your passive perception, at the point of time in which they were taken out of that timeline and put here, game is probably not as plentiful.
She kind of sniffs at their fur and then extends a long, wide, wet tongue and starts fixing their fur on their head.
That tickles.
Yes, well, you shouldn't be such a mess then, should you?
I'm not a mess. I am 7.
And you haven't bathed.
Don't need to.
Well, you don't need to anymore.
Who's that? I haven't seen something like that. And she kind of points towards Garog.
Inra looks over. He can speak for himself.
I am lizard kind. From way south of Tel'Dwanin. Near the great tree of the elves. I am Gorok, son of Sobek. At least I was.
You don't have a family either?
No.
It's okay, you can be part of ours.
He kind of reaches down for his like alchemy jug.
Mm-hmm.
And starts tapping a few places, and he pulls out one of the corks and just starts just drinking it. Just like savors the one spot and just keeps going. Ignoring the question altogether.
Oh, yeah.
He's a bit of a quiet one.
Is that because he's hunting?
Not right now.
And the last Leonin who has yet to speak, much darker fur than yourself. It is almost a ashy gray, kind of peeks out. Mother, it is good to see you again.
Sinra looks over her and clearly struggles to find words.
I don't think words are needed. I think your daughter rushes in, just kind of gives you and your grandkid a hug, just kind of taking you both in.
She takes her free arm, plate mail just like clattering up around. She kind of like awkwardly like reaches back and like pulls, like holds her as well, and then a few moments pass before Sinra starts just like sobbing. In Azatatsi's shoulder.
I think she, hangs on to you until, you are done. And about that time, kind of separates. Your husband has been standing towards the entrance, looking away, kind of scanning the horizon for any knolls and the like. It's, almost nighttime. We should get going.
We can camp in here for the night, but that feels wrong. We have made friends of the dwarves in the crystal caverns. It is a trek from here, but if we make that trek, find peace there, perhaps.
As you wish, Starlight. I will gather some kindling.
She kind of, after having drawn away from her daughter and the child, kind of wanders a few steps away and crouches down and just breathes for a while, glancing over towards Garrock.
He gets the hint and walks over there as well. It's still every now and then just tipping back up into a snout. She knows what it is. It's like his one celebratory thing he does.
Honey?
After no, not
Wait,
honey.
is it that pepper wine? Or
Yes,
Oh.
yes.
Gosh, that's a callback.
It is totally the pepper paste to it was what he calls it something else, but it's in Draconic.
She takes
And-
like a sniff and it makes like a gagging sound.
Want some?
Get that vile thing out of my face.
Shall I offer it to them?
No. Brion!
Yes, mother.
Uh,
Oh, sorry, not Brian. Yes, love.
I want you to try this.
From the smell, I am not really sure I want to, but
It's alcohol. You haven't had any in a while, have you?
not that I can remember. All right, I will try it.
He'll hand over the jug.
He takes a few laps at the pepper wine and then hands it back, keeping a straight face, which is to say a lot.
Sooner like matches his straight face for a solid like like it lapses and lapses before she just starts cracking up.
It is, interesting, I suppose, to say the least.
He has good taste. Tomorrow we try something else, more appropriate.
Then I look forward to something else, I suppose. So, where did the two of you come from to get here? That is to say, we arrived shortly before.
I said we made friends of the Crystal Cavern dwarves. It is quite a long story, but we became entrenched in their in this attack upon their cavern, their priest attempted a ritual that went horribly wrong. There was a wizard with devils, and the wizard went mad. There were more devils. There were Tari beings from beyond the realms, and long story short, we had to go down into the ancient catacombs of the dwarves and kill the dragon that had taken over their homeland. We did that. It's done.
You failed to mention there's more.
Yeah. Oh, more of us, yes.
No, more of them. There's other shards.
You're getting
This-
ahead of yourself. But that is how we came to be here. Well, but yes, there are other mirrors between realms. It is very complicated. How did you do all these things?
Me do all these things?
Yes, go off on adventures and solve problems. They're a fucking headache.
That is, because most of the problems I had to deal with, required a sword.
That
It's
is what I
quite
thought this
simple.
would be. I thought it would be simple. Instead, no. It's chase after a dwarf as he runs off into danger. It's where are the turtles? It's never just simple. It's where has the dragonborn gone? No one's seen him since the dragon started breathing. I hope they're all right.
Half beard is fine. For now. Blue Scale will do what he does best.
He'll survive. And Kier got what she wanted. I think.
Yes, Flowers got her revenge.
But what of Verban?
He's null. He survives. I am sure he's back at the Jugs place, the Kaboom.
Thunder Jugs.
I am sure we'll see him there.
I think that we should all sit down and have a meal, and perhaps you can tell us the tale of this Verban, the Knoll you traveled with. And I think that's where our scene is going to scene out. And I think we're going to hop over to Zadar. Do you have any scene you would like to do in season 1?
Nothing in particular. I'm pretty happy with where I left off with
Okay.
with my Jira.
Alright. Kier and Verban. I know the two of you don't really feel like you need a scene, but if you would like one, now is your chance for a final scene on Shards of Anarion. Season 1.
I couldn't mute. I we're good. I think we successfully rode off into the sunset and left a successful the end question mark. So yeah, no, I'm good.
Alright.
We probably had really weird turtle knoll babies though.
Mhm. That's absolutely how
Nordles?
genetics would
Nordles?
work.
Nordles? Is that what they're? is that a thing? Can a mammal and an amphibian?
I don't know. I mean, isn't that how you get gosh, what are they? The only mammal that lays eggs.
A platypus?
Yes.
What was
Or
that?
an
Sorry, there?
echidna?
Echidnas.
Is that what we?
Nordles. Oh, all right. So,
D&D 6th edition, the Nordle.
yeah. Wizards of the Coast, if you have a Nordle race in 6th edition, I'm suing.
It just screams "kill me" from the very. It's just born knowing that.
I just picture like one of those what is it, the vomiting frog baby from Futurama. Kill me.
Oh boy. All right. So, our scene pans out from the Leonin and the lizard folk in the Plane of Bones. Zadar and his daughter in a tiny tavern in a tiny town, chatting. Brodus fixing up a house that he didn't have to pay for. Verban, Kier, at Thunderjugs having a pint, the sound of kaboom going off at tables down the hall. And let's change the music. In the Plane of Bones, something stirs. A red and crimson mist swirls, swept over the mountains of the deceased dragon, fleeing back to a temple from which it came. Like whispers on the wind, it scours through ancient halls of Leonin Make into a room with a cauldron of bubbling blood, surrounded by the slathering mouths of gnolls. The bleached and cracked bones of centuries strewn on the floor, far below. Cackles fill the air as the war drums begin to beat. And that is the end of Season 1 of Shards of Anarion.
We did it.
We did it. Do we want to take a quick 5-minute break and then do the Q&A section? Or hop right into it? I'm seeing some hops.
See hopping happening.
Let's hop.
Okay.
Let's hop. All
Let's
right. So, audience members, if you think of questions, post them in the chat, and I will be more than happy to convey them. But we do have several from our Discord, as well as
Secrets.
from Twitter.
Secret.
All right, we'll start with the first one. What story beat or moment did you all really enjoy?
Oh God. I'll go first. I really enjoyed, as bad as it is to say, because character death is not always the best thing on the planet. The rest of the cast did such a fucking amazing job with Ning's funeral that I think that was my favorite episode in the whole season, because it was so raw and there was so much emotion. I bawled like that whole episode, but in such a good way. That nothing brings people together like death, right? So
It gave your group
I thought that was
purpose.
pretty good. Yep, it was good.
I've got to throw it out to that final battle. There is something very special about a party getting to that final fight and not holding anything back, and seeing the strategy on a large scale map, and seeing people still playing strategically but also playing to character. A special shout out to Zed on that one for just going invisible. Now the other characters knew shit, but that's still Zed playing the character and still playing strategically, and playing a tough fight. And I loved watching everybody kind of map out what they were going to do and just let this dragon fucking have it, and it still be standing at the end. And I thought that was great. There was a lot of moving parts to it, but definitely a favorite for me.
I'd say it's smaller, but
Your favorite thing can't be Brodus, Fox.
no.
It's smaller. Sometimes a bard has a beard.
No.
Did you crossbow bolt ever down then?
In honestly, like the first, like the crazy wizard fight lead into the big story reveal of like, this is the bigger thing that's happening. I actually enjoyed that a lot. And it's kind of the lead into the, you think you know what's happening, but really you're hitting something on a whole nother level. So that's always a fun episode to get into.
I enjoyed. Okay, there's a couple things I want. Okay, I'm gonna hit two things. I'm gonna be really brief. I enjoyed Brodus's character arc. I loved some of the beats in that, like, because he really had a time going through the whole. He is not the same person he was at the beginning of the the campaign, and that's always really fun to watch. Also, special shout out to some specific scenes that Graham did of the post-apocalyptic visions. I thought those were a really well executed story beat as well.
I don't know that there was like it would count as a beat. I liked the time that we spent in the city just kind of dicking around. Because it's really easy for that to be just like relegated to just boring ass shopping episodes, but we got the whole Thunder Jugs business. I got to use Zed's being lightning resistant guy that became relevant at a bar. And taking ownership of part of the city and stealing a thing from a guy. And I guess a lot of the reason that I liked that time was because I got to do that things. But just in general, I mean, and that introduced. I don't know if it was introduced, but we got to see the shop of the cartographer, and who I hope they lived.
Yep, they're okay.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, the city was well realized. I feel like, especially as a dwarven city, I was able to easily. I don't know exactly why this is. I don't know if it's because you described it good or just because I spent a lot of time playing World of Warcraft in my life. But I had an easy time imagining that we were like in Ironforge. Just kind of, the visuals worked for me there, and I was able to be present in a lot of those scenes a lot easier than I was in others, I think. So I liked it there.
All right, I think my answer, I'm going to put some music on so we have a little bit of backdrop. But my favorite moment or a scene or beat was definitely when you all went fashion clothes shopping for going to the meeting with the nobles, which was where Brodus bought the flaming cloak and Ning bought the bowler hat of fireworks. Because it was probably I think it was like maybe episode 2 or 3, and getting to see all of you bounce off each other and just enjoy this very nonchalant day was very relaxing and kind of cathartic for me. So that was my favorite one. Next question. This comes from Nick at Going Critical. Do, 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 do. Is there... sorry. Are there any events you're curious about, or jobs, settings, cities, or social systems that you didn't get to experience in Season 1 that you want to explore more of?
Personally speaking, and as someone who's not going to be back for season 2, or at least not all of it, I really like the concept of like gnolls having taken over these ancient Leonin kingdoms and basically living in ruins. It gives me a very like maybe Mad Max feel to it, but also just like this almost like scavengers living in a place that they can't appreciate, or a place that they don't upkeep. So these palatial spaces, you know, I can't remember if we were describing them as you know, pyramid and somewhat you know, almost Afro-Middle Eastern in structure, but just the concept of these you know, these hunters living in a place that used to be walking the same steps that used to be walked by kings, and not maintaining them. I really liked that concept.
There was a lot of places. I don't know that anybody besides us can see or has seen the map of Graham's, you know, homebrew world here, but there's a lot of other places that were like brought up or mentioned in people's backstories or whatever. Because like most of this campaign took place in Crystal Caverns or the Plane of Bones, but there's so many other places. Bronze Bastion, where I know there's like that's where like a lot of the technology is, where you get like more steampunky things or guns or whatever. Then there's the whole, I mean, Zed's backstory in particular involved a lot of the Assyrian Empire, because that's who his mercenary company fought with, and they fought against the Teldwinnan, the elves of the Teldwinnan forest or whatever. And you know, there's all that stuff, and I know there's the new old cavern is like it's supposed to be like a goblin city nation thing.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah, I haven't heard about that in a long time, but that sounded really cool. Crimson Haven. Yeah, Crimson Haven's part of this world, right? That's not a different world. That's this world. Yeah. I know quite a bit about Crimson Haven myself personally. I played in it a little bit with Graham. And that's it's like a really cool like big city and stuff. I don't know that it was brought up necessarily so much in this campaign, but of all the parts of the world that there are out there, I think that would be the one I would like to explore the most in the future.
I'm along the same as you, of like Brodus came from the kingdom of Andaland, and so it's like we've heard about it but we haven't seen it, and so you know, seeing some things like that, or at least getting more information about that, you know, drawing it out would be great. But also, what is the Crystal Caverns going to be like after we dealt with this? You know, seeing the aftermath of what we dealt with, and how does it change the society of the Crystal Caverns itself? So that will also kind of be interesting to see.
I mean, like hundreds or thousands of them that aren't stone anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, there's
sure.
going to be just a whole lot different there. I think that's interesting. I also would like to see some of these bordering countries. So, I don't know. I think we've got a little bit of a cliffhanger of something going on in the Plane of Bones, but maybe in preparation for that, if we like head to the Assyrian Empire or the Kingdom of Andalin, that could be cool.
yeah.
It's like stopping at one of those places.
To that thought as well, I think it would be very interesting to see how Sinra's partner actually deals with Verban, because I think Sinra and Verban kind of relatively quickly came to terms with one another, maybe for story beats or whatever other reason. But yeah, for someone who just came from that conflict and whose blade is still, a little covered in Knoll blood, to be like, oh, this is my wife's friend, hunting partner, friend. Okay, not maybe gonna murder you, maybe.
It'd be exciting.
I actually think I told Graham that I demand a new old cavern one shot because it's like goblin pirates, isn't it? Essentially,
it's like Goblin New York City in
yeah, like goblin gangsters.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm all about that new old cavern. And I mean, obviously, I wouldn't mind learning more about Telduinon because that's where Kieran Ning's family was from before they all got eaten and destroyed and murdered. But yeah, new old cavern. Let's go. One shot.
All
Next
right.
week. Thanks, Graham.
Oh gosh. All right. Given I wrote the world, so I guess it's easier for me. So I'm not going to answer that question, not because it's not a good question, but because I don't want to spoil things. Because if I want the party to go somewhere, they'll end up there eventually. I hope. This next question is...
Would it before we move on, would it really be a spoiler for you to just say like what is currently you think your favorite part of your world?
Oh, that's fair. I really like the Crimson Haven. That is my favorite part about the world. Because that is really the town or city that started this whole world to begin with. Was just a city that is walled by super high walls, run by a dictatorship of former heroes that displaced a lich, and the only way out of the city is being rich. Or smuggling yourself through the Underdark, which is also infested with vampires. So there's really no good way out. And it's just a very evil place. At best, it's neutral. But usually it is, crime and, just eking out a living. And I think that I really do enjoy stories in which it's not about the heroics. It's about telling a story of even escape is a heroic tale. Depending on where you start.
Brock did end up in that spot for a good bit of his life, and he wants to destroy that place.
Yeah.
Say the least.
Didn't know you were a gladiator.
Yeah, he was a gladiator at one point, and he was sold to slavery. That's how he actually got out.
Yep.
And then he almost went back a couple times.
Which leads us to our next question, also from Nick. Thank you. Is there anything in your backstory that you want to share now? Anything that didn't come up that you would want to explore in a future campaign?
I'll go ahead and start this one. So going back to Crimson Haven, he ended up in the Desolation area when he was taken away from Telduinon, and he didn't know how it happened. He know what happened in the forest right before he was sent off to the Desolation itself. But that whole piece of him becoming a gladiator, as well as a guard, as well as a slave, as well as a whole bunch of other things, like first 25 years basically of his life was in that area surviving. So I would love to go back there, and he just destroys the place because good old revenge.
For Zed's part, I think the part that I would want to explore the most, I think the part that I would want to explore the most, I guess, would be his enemies. One of them got checked off. So when I started this campaign, when I first made the character Zed, I just basically I followed some guidelines that Graham had sent. I don't know if it was for this campaign specifically, but it was at some point. He asked for basically 3 allies, 3 enemies, and 3 goals. And so his three enemies were, well, there's one that I brought up, which was the Vengeance Paladin, who was, she's the daughter of someone that he, or at least she believes he killed during the war between the Syrian Empire and the Telgeran Forest. So it'd be cool to have a run-in with her. Or his second enemy was an Archfey. So early on in the campaign, that enemy was kind of like not like a direct enemy. He had never like met them or knew that he did anything to them, and that kind of got like erased from the timeline. So I feel confident about sharing it completely. Basically, when he was in the Telgeran Forest, at one point he accidentally interrupted like a Fey ritual. Like he had no idea what was going on because it's, you know, Fey are in my mind so like alien and weird. There was just like, I don't know, there was like a small whirlwind, you know, there was, you know, sometimes when like wind is like blowing against the building that has a corner and it like makes a little thing of leaves. There was one of those and he just kind of stepped in it or something like that, and he wound up pissing off an Archfey. And so when the campaign started, this came up a couple times, but not a whole lot. But like whenever I rolled like a 1 or failed an ability check or something, it was described as him having unnaturally bad luck. So that was the thing he wanted like kind of erased from his history. He was like, he didn't know who he pissed off, but he really wanted to have them not be pissed off. So
I like that part.
Yep, that's what you used your wish for.
Right, exactly. That's it's been erased from the timeline. But his other enemy is more personal. It's just like because it's a person. Archfey aren't people. It was another Dragonborn. It was a priest who caught Zed doing a crime, I believe, but then couldn't prove it in court, and Zed got away with it. And it wasn't like a violent crime; it was like smuggling or something. So it wasn't like this big deal thing, but I thought it was nice to have an enemy that was just like someone who just doesn't like you. So there's this guy out there that Zed just kind of runs into every once in a while that they just have like this animosity toward each other, but they're not like out to kill each other or anything. And I feel like that would be a fun relationship to explore a little bit, at least throughout the campaign.
For Brodus, Brodus originally came from a dwarven family of lumberjacks over in Revgast, and lumberjacks and carpenters, and made his way to the kingdom of Andaland. And we saw in the deep down, Brodus used some of that a little bit to help fix some boats, but it's like exploring the story of how he got from Revgast to Kingdom of Andaland, knowing that you have to pass through basically crystal caverns, Plain of Bones to get there, would be interesting to explore, because I think, going off on your own at a young dwarven age, like, how does one get there? So that would be interesting to see, I think, from my perspective.
I mean, Kier was a druid originally, because that's what Kier and Ning's mother was a druid. Their mother was a druid and their father was a monk, and Ning had followed in the footsteps of their father, and Kier had followed in the footsteps of her mother. But then after whoever made the wish so that Kier came back to life, I still don't know who it is. So now I'm thinking it's Garok because of the way that Trok just shrugged his shoulders like that. Kier actually ended up in the Assyrian Empire with a wizard school, and that's where she got her wizard magic from. And she actually bailed on the school to go find Ning when the whole thing happened, and it was like, oh my god, I still have a sibling and we should probably connect and whatnot. So there was the option that if I could come back for the second season, which I can't, unfortunately, that we were going to tie in this wizard school not being too keen on investing so much into this turtle and then her just bailing on them and being like, see you later. Thanks for giving me all this magic power. I'm fucking out of here. So that would have been cool to explore. But yeah.
Season 3.
There you go.
Yeah, Verban's whole deal was he was a gnoll who lived with a bunch of gnolls, and they hunted, and then he got kicked out, and then he just had to find his way. But they're absolutely. When I made the character, I picked humanoids as a favorite enemy because he kind of of course he had hunted humans before, but he was turning to getting revenge and hunting his own people, and he ended up finding reasons to do something else, but that was always something that's kind of in the back of his mind is, hey, here's a bunch of my people, one way or another I'm either gonna save them from themselves or in a good way or in a permanent way. So that was always kind of one of the back of mind things before learning about dragons and all that kind of stuff. But yeah.
All right. Next question is from Mitch, who says, "Do you all know how awesome you are?" No.
Rhetorical question.
No clue.
Yes.
All right. Next question.
No.
This is from Geartop. Thank you, Geartop. It is, who was your favorite NPC?
Oh,
I
like there's
know-
even a question.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Yeah. The little busboy from Thunderjugs was by far the best NPC.
I would disagree a little bit. I
would
really
disagree 100%.
loved the husband, wife, like supermarket runners. They were
Oh.
great.
Oh, those.
The way they just went back and forth with each other, which was amazing because it was just Graham talking to himself. But like I really enjoyed them. And also the map maker. He was great also.
Thommery.
Mm-hmm.
This is a deep callback, but I really liked I believe it was a Goliath couple that was in the caravan that we were
Oh, the
moving
brother
with.
and sister? Bor
Yeah.
and...
Or was it brother and sister? Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like we didn't get a ton of them, but I really liked that concept of
Mhm.
of them kind of moving with the caravan. And I had another one. Oh, come back to me. Oh, the crazy wizard that we murdered because he was so murderable.
Call out to, I think, the nameless NPC that was the head of the cult that Brodus spoke up with.
Oh, yeah.
It was
That was
just
so funny.
gaslighting Brodus for an entire scene. It was great.
Just to correct the statement, I did not wake up with them. That didn't happen. I woke up and
You
then
woke
met
up
them.
like
You can say whatever
in
you
a
want.
pink robe, right?
We all know the truth.
Yeah.
Brodus was actually my favorite NPC because constantly losing, constantly you would have to I understand it was for the story, whatever, but just failing all those skill checks and rolls and attack. It was
How he lived with
Yeah.
10 HP, I'll never know.
But
really drove the
true-
plot forward.
truth be told, I cannot fake any of my roles because it's just hilarious how bad they are.
I think mine honestly was the entity itself.
It was good. Yeah.
Big one.
Let's see, who is my favorite NPC? My favorite NPC to play was absolutely, without a doubt, Thommery. It was the first time I tried that accent, and I just loved how I fell into the well, yes and no.
Oh no.
Just to everything. And it just became a mannerism. And just from that first sentence, once it got out, I was like, all right, I know who this person is now. They're useless. That's what they are.
Well, yes.
Nice.
And
Well,
no.
yes and no. I'm
No.
really good at maps.
My favorite name obviously goes to Shock Thunderjaw, best name of an NPC. That dude was dick. But I did get to steal from him, so that does make me like him kind of. I think my favorite NPC actually I don't know about favorite because I don't remember them all as clearly as others, but the favoriteest one I can remember right now would be the wizard, whose name I wrote down but don't have with me right now. Because he actually, I don't know, there was some depth there. Badel. It was Badel. There was a little bit of depth there because you could tell that they did seem like they actually wanted to help their people, and then the effort of doing that drove them mad, which I don't know, classic wizard story kind of. You pursue deep magic and it makes you go crazy. So I like that. I appreciated that. And I thought it was cool that we kept him alive. That was neat.
All right, ready? This is from Bob. Thank you, Bob. How do you as a player feel about Ning's death?
Loved it.
Ruthless. I feel like I cried more over Ning dying than El cried over Ning dying.
I mean, initially, sure, I'd concede that. I think it's because I was in such shock that it happened initially, but the funeral episode, I think I was crying for fucking 2.5 hours straight. It was brutal. I felt fine with it. It happens. And I liked that we didn't cheapen it because I do remember, Graham, I think you DM'd me during it happening and said, do you want me to circumvent this somehow? And I said, nah, man, the rolls are the rolls. Let's go with how the rolls go. And I'm glad it did, because it led to so much awesome. So I missed, and I won't say that I missed having 30 different tabs of different parables and stuff open and trying desperately in the moment to find the right one that would fit the situation in the worst way that I could think of. So I didn't really miss that. I did have just tons of bad D&D jokes that I only got to use a couple of for Kier, because Kier's thing was going to be her go-to was going to be Tasha's hideous laughter. And she was going to use just bad D&D jokes every time she cast that spell. And I think I got to use it twice, because I know I got to use it on Brodus when Brodus failed, which was fantastic. But also Kier was just on this vengeance-driven mission that, casting Tasha's hideous laughter over and over again didn't really seem to fit what she was after. So
I will say, as a player, there's something that not everyone, you almost had to have watched the night that it happened, because I was not on show that night. That night I was moving, and so I was paying attention when I could on my phone, but there was a certain point where we had to move things and I had to shut my phone, and I catch in the Discord that someone has died. Now, I've told Graham, whatever happens while I'm gone happens, and not surprisingly, my bad dice rolls went to Pharaoh, because great, and Pharaoh, I believe, was filling in for me, and I was 100% ready to die. I had a whole break of contract ready for everybody. So I thought I was dying. But like then when I heard it was, Ning, it hurt me because I was like, oh shit, I'd rather Brodus die than Ning die. So yeah, there's a little behind the scenes. So like it did hurt me a little bit that Ning died.
Miss his sayings. I'm sorry they were so like troublesome to pull off, but
Yeah, yeah, I agree mostly with what else said. That it was, I mean, obviously unfortunate that happened and stuff, but it was such great fodder for role play and story and progression and plot and character progression. Really, mostly, I guess it wasn't a huge impact on the story. It was in a way that after that, Cure came in and was the main force dragging everyone behind her to go get this shit done and kill this goddamn piece of shit dragon. Because otherwise, if, we may have meandered a bit more, then would have been good.
I was actually going to say that, Vinny, because for all of our bullshittery of shopping episodes and just fucking around and not really, cohesively as a group agreeing or knowing what to do or agreeing on what to do, for Akir just to have that impetus for the entire group of, hey, here's one of us that died, and then to have a loved one of that person go, I'm going with or without you. And we're like, well, we can't lose another fucking turtle. They're going to start like see a pattern here. So I will say I missed Ning. I thought Ning was a fantastic character, and the sayings were great, and it was a great way to stylize a monk. But Kier was equally unique. And I mean, whether it's the description of flowers or a mixture of druid and wizard, which is honestly something I'd not seen before. Another fantastic character. So I don't feel like we did lose something, but I don't feel like we were any lesser for it. And at the time, I kind of had the thoughts like, if this was my character who died in this fight, roles or whatever, what I feel like, this was the moment that would push things forward. Was this a glorious enough death for the character? But it turns out that it kind of was. It was a movement forward, and it was a fight that was, kind of like a lower level boss fight. And it ended up having the story impact that I think changed a number of things that we were doing. I mean, hell, it made Verban multi-class. So I thought it was well executed, both in front of and behind the scenes especially by Elle and Graham.
Agreeing with you on that. We even had one night a conversation. I think it was me, Graham, Vinny, and Pharaoh had a conversation one night of like, if X character died, how would everybody else feel? And I think, not that we didn't love Ning, we did love Ning, but Ning's death is the one that, if it were to happen, would drive the story the furthest, as compared to, in reality, if you think about it, if Brodus died, most of the party wouldn't care as much. So that just shows kind of how much we also love Ning and we love Kier and how the story went. And yeah.
I would disagree with you heavily on that one, Fox.
Yeah.
I think for me, I thought we handled Ning's death very beautifully, and we had the send-off that was deserving of a character that was very dear to not only Elle's heart, the player, but to all of us. It's not every day that a party gives a funeral and eulogies and pays a depth of perspective into their feelings of a character to know what impact it has had, not only on them as a player, but also on the story. And I think for Ning's death narratively I would agree, made the most sense because Ning was the closest with everyone. Everyone wanted Ning to do well, and I think that Ning dying was the fire that lit the firework under all of your butts, because it was such a slap in the face. Because everyone wanted better for Ning, and Ning dying felt like it was being robbed, in a way. It made it very personal.
My favorite part about any character death would be the reactions to, and then the aftermath of how it affects just everything. Characters, players, the story itself. There's always an unknown, and I've always loved the thematic element of that.
Actually, I do want to throw it up to Trope, because you actually, as Grok, I think asked almost every character what they wanted as a death cleric to happen to them after, should they die. And that was such a smart thing to do, because just so fucking happened to come into play. Because we probably could have, wrangled together some golden resurrected Ning, but that's not what Ning wanted. And Ning had said that. So props to Elle for actually, role-playing that out and not just going, well, I like this character, forget what I said before, let's retcon that. It was smart play on everybody, like I said, everybody involved. I thought did a wonderful job with that.
Also, back to Graham on that, for actually even just having an NPC throw a diamond at him, giving him that option. And I'm glad that conversation was had with Ning, which gave off to a lot of other moments with other characters.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, I think at that point in the story, Ning was the only one that Garak had a chance to have that conversation with, even.
Yeah, so don't talk to Garak.
Yeah, it was very poignant. Yeah.
Boo! The whole show was scripted. Boo.
All right. Well, before people get on my case about scripting this, we've got another question. Question from me to the cast and Graham. If you could pick one moment from this season which will be the one that will be a constant reminder of what you will miss about this season or group, what is it? Let's get some sappy music going.
Ooh.
I want some tear jerkers.
You're not getting one from me, because it's anytime we all made fun of Brodus. And Fox, thank you so much for being such a good sport, because you really were the whipping boy of the group. And you carried it with such grace and aplomb, and like actually egged it on sometimes. Like it was almost like the role you wanted to play, but it was really needed to bring some of that levity to the group at certain points, because things like most of the group had just super tragic backstories, as we're all role players, and tragedy is just one of the funnest things to do to yourself. So yeah, I think I'll miss picking on Brodus the most.
Every friend group of a certain size has that friend. Fox, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, because I often led a lot of it, and I want you to know that I do respect you as a person, as a player, and
Oh, I know.
yeah, okay, all right. Shut up. Absolutely, one of my favorite things that always brings the group together is just we're a whole bunch of monstrous races. It's a fucking gnoll and a turtle and a lizard folk and a leonin and a dragonborn. You're like, I'll play a dwarf. How could we not? We're just like, all of our brains unanimously went like, well, one of these things is not like the other. One of these things is gonna be food. I absolutely, Brodus will always be one of my favorite things, whether it's Brodus waking up naked in a field with a new tattoo, or Brodus just like everyone just slowly coming to the realization that Bird isn't fully alive anymore. It's not our problem. Just like everybody like slowly was just like, Brodus isn't like sleeping or eating, and he's up reading all the time, and every magical detector we have just says that he's undead, but I mean, we got other stuff to do. So, yeah, no, it's I appreciate it. I'm not sure if that's the one thing I'll always look back on, but Brodus will always be one of my favorite PCs that I've played with just for that reason. So, fantastic job.
And yet, y'all already nailed it. Really, the only thing I would like to add is that I forever miss Derek as Verban saying the name Thunder Jugs.
Thunder Jugs. It is family fun restaurant of fun family fun.
I love it every time. Thank you.
Mine's gonna be a little bit different. It's gonna be the library scene. When we went to the library to look up the dragon stuff, and we developed a new book series named Shortlock and Squatson, because you know, that was a group effort and it was absolutely wonderful. But it also spurred a lot of moments for everybody. That's one of the places that really did that. And so you know, you don't get many library scenes, but that will be one that, you know, it will always be in there in my head.
Well, and I almost thought you were referencing the like secret Fey-ish elven kind of library space where Sinra got pulled into a book. So that also was because that got a lot of backstory and a lot of heavier emotions kind of pulled into the story as well.
No, I was strictly referring to Shortlock and Squatson.
Which was shortly before you met with the cult a second time.
Yeah.
My favorite, I don't have one favorite moment, I will say that, is my favorite thing that I will always carry with me as a memory is day one of us streaming. Not all of you knew each other. And, you know, some of us have been in various Discord servers together. Some of us have never met. But seeing how we interact and enjoy each other's company now at the end of the campaign and the friendship that developed over that time is, for me, what makes it a very good memory, is that I got to see all of you kind of become friends.
That was super cheesy.
I'm sorry. What do you want from me, Alex?
So much cheese here.
Yeah.
I would argue that was very Gouda. Okay.
I'm all
You got
for
some in
it.
cheddar?
That was very Gouda.
Swiss is a cheese.
Mine will always be Ning's philosophical atmosphere that he always portrayed to everyone, not even just certain individuals, just everybody.
A tree only knows how to be a tree.
Just like that.
Right. Do. What plot threads did you think were going a different direction than where they did?
What was
Sorry,
the question
one more time?
Yeah.
Sorry, it was worded poorly. What plot threads or plot devices did you as a player think were going a different direction than what they did in the story?
I honestly thought that we were going down to the high-tech area. Honestly, from even just the beginning, even though we're all meeting up in
Petal Blossom?
Yeah, meeting up there, I thought we were actually going to go down to that area for a half political intrigue, half exploration, more of a sense. But I still like the angle that we went with.
Yeah, I guess.
Sorry, go ahead, Vinny.
At the beginning, I guess I expected there to be more. It to be more of like a. I expected there to be more gnolls and demons. I think than there turned out to be. Again, echoing trope. I'm happy with the way it wound up going. It was good. I liked it. It was great. I had a great time. I just, that's what I kind of thought that's where we were going in the first couple episodes there. But yeah.
I also think it would have been interesting to have a bunch of monsters go down to places that might stir the pot quite a bit.
Yeah, I feel like early on there were a number of loose plot hooks kind of out there, whether it was going to be about the Leonin or the Knolls. It was kind of stuff that was hinted at. I did not see us meeting with some otherworldly, older than God kind of being and then kind of tying stuff into the shards. Because I feel like very early on we could have taken a whole bunch of different paths and we chose shopping instead. So because that was kind of the point, is when we got to the Dwarven City, they listed out a laundry list of their problems, and we kind of went, evil wizard sounds fine. We very easily could have gone, well, we were just chased by a whole bunch of gnolls and demons. Let's go find out what's going on with that. So I feel like it's kind of on us where we ended up, but all paths lead to a finale one way or another. So who knows what we missed?
I regret not seeing repercussions for Brodus's capitalistic shenanigans, where he kept making these like contracts and then in invisible ink like adding stuff.
Don't worry, it's on. You guys have been away from society for several weeks.
I look forward to seeing what happens, because didn't he stabbed his business partner in the back?
Yeah, Lanthario.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Sure.
We're just gonna get a sending one day. It's just like, I know.
Oh, that'd be glorious.
I was floored by Sinra and Garok's backstories. Now, I mean, I didn't know tons about the world when we went into this, but finding out however long of the way through that they were brought back from the dead, and that Sinra especially was alive like ages ago and was royalty, and I think that's probably the only reason why Pharaoh might be okay with how Ning died, is because Ning would just not let go of the Your Highness and Princess shit.
Oh, I love that.
Oh yes.
I thought it was hilarious.
But yeah,
She
I was
hated it.
totally thrown through a loop with how the backstories worked out for those two characters specifically. I thought it was super cool and really well done by all of you.
I like the way everything kind of played out. I would agree with Verban that there are plenty of ways that this could have gone, but I think the way it played out, I'm actually very happy with.
All
I feel like we
right.
played this a lot like how I play Skyrim, which is just like,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Aimless.
well,
Steal everything.
we got into town and then I stole and shopped a bunch, and somebody's like, "There's dragons out there." I'm like, okay, all right. There's a weird guy in the basement. Can you just hold off on that shit for a second?
I want to kill rats.
I'm putting baskets on people's heads.
And then you walk through a mirror and somebody's like, "Welcome to the Assassin's Guild." And it's like, well, all right, well, dragons aren't
Great.
going anywhere, am I right?
Yeah, I mean, when I designed this campaign, I had, I think, like 12 plot hooks. And I said, I'm going to throw them out in random spots, and wherever the party ends up, they're going to end up. They're going to bite whatever one they want, and I'm just going to let the story go. There'll be an overarching, like, plot that's going on while they do shenanigans, but I want them to dictate what story they want to tell. I don't want to tell them what they want, because that's never fun. So that's why, for the first few episodes, it was rather aimless. Just getting to the Crystal Caverns, and I was like, once I get there, the first 2 episodes are bonding, and then everything after that is go wherever you want. But I think I'll open up.
Kaboom.
Do any of the players have any questions for either other players or for me as the DM?
I would ask, where everybody got their character concept. Sometimes people base characters on popular pop culture characters, or maybe it's something you want to play for a while. But I would be interested where everybody got their idea for their character/characters for L.
So Ning. So this is the first streamed tabletop RPG game that I've ever been on. And when Graham messaged me for the audition, and I've been around the scene, and I know a lot of pretty prolific people in the scene, like Graham and like Derek and Mindy and Deej and all of these other people that do all this incredible stuff. And I was like, if I'm going to get on this show and I'm going to actually make a run at it, I need to come up with something that I've never seen before, as being somebody that's watched thousands of hours of D&D. And I was like, how about a fucking turtle dude that talks like Mr. Splinter from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles sometimes? And kind of melded that together. I have no idea. So I used that character for my audition game. And then when Graham's like, hey, you're going to be on the campaign. And I was like, oh shit, how do I do better? Because the audition, I actually think I wish people could have seen the audition game, because I think Ning was even better in the audition game. There's lots of stuff I still remember about that audition game and what Ning did. And I was like, I don't know how to top that from a character perspective for something that people are actually going to watch. And then I was like, fuck it, Graham, can I just be my audition character? And he was like, yeah, go for it. And I was like, okay, that makes it way easier. And then Kier, I don't know where the heck I came up with Kier. I think I'm fairly blessed that in my offline games, and lots of stuff that I've been invited to play in that's all offline. I mean, this community and the people that are really ingrained in this community and in Graham's Discord and the Free Forge and, several other places I'm super blessed to be a part of. There's just so many good players. And so you tend to take bits and pieces from watching other people play in the games that you're playing in. And come up with cool stuff. There's one guy that I play with that just has the most phenomenal spell descriptions ever that I've ever heard. And I was like, how can I do something that's a little unique, that breaks out of the bonds of, because it's really easy to look up spells and see what the components are and use those to flavor your spells. But I really wanted to try something different that wasn't necessarily the rules of the game, but I thought would be cool anyway. And I don't know where I came up with it. It just came to me right when I started playing Kier. I hadn't even thought of it until then. So yeah, I don't know. I want Ning. I just want to play Ning forever, though. If I'm being real.
The final boss is going to be called the Return of Ning. It's just evil Ning using reverse.
Oh my gosh.
Quotes.
Well, and a level 20 pure monk is not exactly the easiest thing to take on either. So, because I think I did take Ning down the path as I'm sure everybody does, where you like just max out your character level to see what you would want to do with your character. And Ning at max level, I think in a standard round could move like 380 feet. So good luck like trying to keep up with them.
Well, oh,
You
go
do
ahead.
it. I interrupted somebody last time.
No,
and I went,
you do it.
All right, I'm not going to argue about it for any longer than I just did. So, for Zed, I mean, my standard MO for making characters for campaigns is I wait until basically everybody else makes a character, and then I see what niche hasn't really been filled yet, and then I just try and fill that one. But also, the first time I auditioned for a stream, which was I did with Graham actually. I auditioned with a thief rogue. They were a halfling, and their story was a little bit different. Well, it was way different. Their story was completely different actually. But for this one, I still wanted to play a thief rogue, and I also just wanted to be somebody that, despite being dragonborn, which is like not a super normal thing to be in most worlds, certainly not this one. Somebody that's normal, basically somebody who doesn't really use magic, and their backstory is kind of grounded, in a sense that there's a lot of conflicts in the world. They were just a soldier, and they fought in these wars, but they didn't, they were a soldier of fortune, basically, which is, I think, like a really pretty common fantasy trope and stuff, which is part of the reason I wanted to play him. I mean, it's a player's handbook class, player's handbook race, until Fizzbands came out and made Dragonborn slightly better. I changed a little bit. And then as for so that was all the mechanics of it, really. That was how I got, my background and all that stuff. And then I used Xanathar's Guide, which I've realized over the last year or so, that I feel like I've gotten more mileage out of Xanathar's than almost any other book that's ever come out as a player and a DM almost. Because there's so many tables in there. I forget what chapter it is, but there's a section called This Is Your Life, where they have all these tables you can roll on to see why you became a rogue, or what was the deal with your family, how many siblings did you have, all sorts of shit like that. And that's how I came up with my 3 goals and friends and enemies. And I at work over the course of a few days, because I have a really boring job, I was able to really flesh out backstory by rolling dice. And it didn't fit together perfectly just from the dice rolls, obviously, but it gave me puzzle pieces that I could cheat and shave into the correct shape to make them fit together with minimal effort. So that's how I come up with most of my characters, and how I came up with Zadar.
Brodus is it's a little bit easier for me on how I create Brodus, in the sense of I know who I am, I know what I roll. I've been on many streamed one-shots or campaigns or whatever. It's the same everywhere I go. I don't roll any better. So I knew I wanted to go initially with Bard because, well, a lot of the spells I can pick, I don't have to roll shit. So great. Or, someone else rolls against me. So I don't have to make those rolls, and I can still do things to affect the campaign, which is great. But I also, and this is just, I don't know if it's just some for me, but it is honestly you must be yay high or less for me to play you as a race. So dwarves, you're in. Halflings, you're in. Gnomes, you're in. It's just one of those. I've just never wanted to play, normal size or taller characters. It's just, fun for me to be the short one.
Okay, Sam Riegel.
But and then just knowing me and my personality, I know I can take a lot of punches, and so went into this full asking to take all of your punches. So, and it worked. So, that's how Brodus came about.
For Garak, for actually most of my characters, I always start with an emotion, and then I start with what do I want to keep secret, like the one thing that would alter a destiny or of sorts. And I love clerics anyways, and every group needs a cleric. And I played just about every class. Death was the one, even though it was one of the originals off the PHB. And for Garak specifically, I wanted the emotion of a guide of sorts, and to know a lot of the land, but to be able to give that sense of where people need to go, and the whole aspect of the afterlife came a bit after that. And I was originally going to pick a lizard folk, but I never played one before, and I was like, how can I make that work? I can make that work by that same emotion. And then I got like inspiration from some theater things I've done in the past, and emotion was the big one of those. And because of that guide and that isolationist and kind of a persona of being able to guide people, I just went with lizard folk because they're after looking at their history, at least the lore of it, they were often emotionless, stick to their tribe essentially always, and I wanted to throw that off the balance as well. He's got to go somewhere else, so he ended up somewhere else. And that's how Garak came to be.
I have been looking for an excuse to play a lean-in for a long time. I like lions. Lions are pretty cool. It's cool. I also have not had a chance to play a paladin before. And I've been on a run of some neutral to evil characters, and I'm like, fuck all this. I'm gonna play a good character for once. And she might have been angry and gruff, but her heart's in the right place. So I kind of just wanted to play a paladin without them being like a mall cop. I've also never gotten to touch the noble background, and I wanted to play around with that, but I didn't want to do it in a way where I was like entrenched in current politics. So I wanted it to be part of the backstory, but not part of the present, if that makes sense. So yeah, I don't know. I took a bunch of things I'd been waiting to play and kind of like tweaked around with it and I worked with Graham a bit. And he was like, yeah, sure, lean and genocide, great. And that's how we are where we are.
Is that everybody?
What about
so.
you,
Yeah,
Derek?
everybody but
Well,
you.
I wanted everyone else to go first since I asked. I had wanted to play Verban for a very long time. As soon as I learned about gnolls, I was like, oh, I gotta play one of these. They're so cool. Aside from the whole cannibalism thing, but even the concept of gnolls is like this roving group of just teeth and claws that just leave entire towns desolate. And to have one of them break off, I was like, oh, they're hunters. Give them the biggest crossbow you can find. But yeah, so I very much kind of Troke was saying with lizard folk, I wanted to kind of break the mold for what a gnoll was expected to be and have a gnoll interact with other humanoids in a non-aggressive way, and even sort of maybe like a caring way, that this is a hyenic individual who has lost their pack and is now trying to reestablish one and trying to guide the smaller, weaker ones. Because I'm pretty sure, like, I took all the, whatever they're called, the flaws and personality traits, and one of the personality traits is I watch over my friends as if they were a litter of newborn pups. I was like, yeah, all right. But yeah, I'd always had the general idea of Noel with a big ass crossbow, and kind of built it from there. This hunter of people who is now trying to integrate and become more person himself. Yeah, even his name is, I think it's like a modification of a German word for exile. So I kind of like built that into him, that he was this cast off who was going to maybe someday get revenge. But yeah, I'm very happy for what he turned into, and for allowing him to grow and change as the story changed him. I had no plans for him to become part Grave Cleric when I first started, but it made sense. And everything about the Grave Cleric, especially taking just a level in Grave Cleric, speaks to someone who has just lost a friend. Everything about it is, saving people from near death. It's like, I'm not going to let that happen again. Is what a first level Grave Cleric is kind of built for. So yeah, he's a good boy.
I think Graham, for your side of things, like, of the characters that we built, was there anything, I guess, that threw you off, or like that you totally were not expecting?
I would say the things that didn't throw me off were definitely gimmicks, magic items, and loot, which is pretty standard. I would say the things that threw me off the most were the little shopping episodes. Not necessarily, buying the finery to go to, your big event, but Thunder Jugs started as a throwaway joke, and then all of you gravitated towards that place like there was no tomorrow. And that was a moment in the episode I was like, how do I get them out of here? I've made a magical tavern that is just a gambling ring. They could literally make a campaign here and just be like, we're gonna rig the fights, we're gonna, market this aggressively. And for a second I didn't think, I was like, I don't know if I've thrown them a strong enough hook to pull them away from this. What I have given them is a fish, and they're gonna just stay there. And I think that was one of the big ones that threw me off. Outside of that, even when casting this, I knew you were all phenomenal role players and all delightfully fantastic people. So I never had any doubt that wherever the story was going to take you, or you were going to take the story, it was going to feel organic and feel genuine, regardless of where you ended up, and regardless of what you ended up doing. And that is why, I casted each and every one of you, as I knew that, you're not the type of group that would wander off for no good reason and, get the silly, you'll get the silly giggles out of the way, yeah, but you won't
wander off for no good reason. Never. I would never do that.
Well, I said what I said, okay? But yeah, that's my answer to that question.
That was one of those majority rules comments.
Yeah, see, the rest of you really rounded out Beldis, so Beldis can only do enough mischief.
We weren't talking about the kid that ate the soap as a youngin.
Yeah.
Beldis,
no, never. Oh, Beldis? Brodus?
Sorry.
The other bee dwarf.
the other dwarf. Ooh, I have a question for everyone. If If your character could meet any one character from the other campaign, which player character would they want to meet? And why?
Beldus, no question about it. The two B brothers would make the greatest duo that ever lived.
Double dwarf, double bard.
Yeah. There's no trouble that we couldn't get ourselves out of.
I almost for a second thought, what would happen if I just like switched the cast, just you and Bob? What happened? If the party
Oh,
would have
no.
even noticed, they're like, Beldis, did you grow an inch? Let's just leave.
Your beard longer.
That's me. It was easy.
It would have been, unfortunately, I didn't get to watch a ton of Anarion's Rest because I'm so dang busy. But it would definitely be Karis for me, especially as Kier, because I think Kier and Karis would have hit it off and gotten along very well. And also, I just adore Kari, so.
Yeah, I also didn't follow the other campaign super closely, but just based on the names, I'm going to go with Golaneth. I think that's a great name, and I would like to name something with that name.
I don't know which of them Sinra would get along with, but I am interested in Rue's character concept and design. I think she looks adorable. I doubt Sinra would like her, but that's a whole other thing.
Who did Sinra like, though?
Verban?
Maybe?
Yeah, Verban maybe.
Garage.
Closest.
Garage.
Who doesn't
No.
like Verban, though?
That
She
dragon?
has grown to like Brodus. She is very neutral about Zadar, but also Zadar never really talked to her, so that's is what it is. She has regrets about how she treated Ning, actually. That was why she was
Ooh.
quiet at his funeral. And
Ooh.
the few words that she said, I think, were, "I'm sorry." And like that was it.
Ning loved you enough for both of you.
Oh.
For sure.
She felt bad.
But Ning loved everybody.
For sure.
Everyone loved me. I also did not watch, but I'm gonna go with Maggie because I love Jess, and Maggie looks to be a fearbold, and Verban likes big ladies, so. No other reason. Yeah.
I for Garak the same for a different reason. They could just feed off each other's non-emotion and just be in each other's space.
All right, that's it for my questions.
Graham,
Yeah.
for you,
Ooh.
your
Spotlight.
Goldshine Investigations character, who would
Yes.
they best get along with in this party?
Ooh, that is Gaheris Nervos Blackmont. Sorry, I should put a lord in front of it. I'm just adding titles now. Lord Gaheris
Lord, of course.
Nervos Blackmont would probably get along with all of you. Gaheris is a pretty likable person. Very low key.
I think Harris would get along in like a glib sort of way.
Yeah, it's definitely a glib
sure.
sort of way. The way I've always imagined Gaheris is he's just that pleasant bro to be around. Like, confrontational when you need to be, but when it is confrontational, it is 0 to 100. It is, I'm ready to throw down and, kill someone.
Yeah, but he has his preferences.
That's true.
And he acts nice to most people, but who would he actually like?
He's kind of, I mean, I'm not going to call him a sociopath, but he does have those two sides a little bit where he's like, hello, I'm everyone's best friend. And he's like, okay, listen up. We need to commit an assassination. It needs to be quick and quiet. Stop looking at your feet.
So
look me in the eyes.
Oh, but part of that just goes to how I originally made him, which was Gaheris's mentality is he believes he's the only creature in existence. He is a god that created this universe to keep himself from going mad. So any action he does has no meaning.
I take it back. He is 100% a
Yeah,
sociopath.
like,
Yeah.
Very true.
like, he's never not been like this.
He might be a sociopath and a psychopath, actually.
He
He's
tries
like,
to do good.
emotions.
See,
I
he
just
tries
mimic
to do good.
them.
The thing is, he doesn't. He's never been proven wrong up until this point in the campaign. I thought earlier on he was going to get proved wrong. Like, someone was going to knock him down on his ass and make a death saving throw and go, wait a minute, I'm not immortal. It has not happened, though. And now we're 2 years into the campaign, and he has just doubled down numerous times. And he's like, I can jump into this sword fight or build this magical dagger that kills magical creatures on hit. And,
Brim, I mean, to be fair, the Gaheris is friends with Griaz.
Yep.
So you're already friends with a large, fuzzy, monstrous race character with a deep connection to nature who's also committed murder in the past. So
that's true. It'd probably be either Verban or I think Zadar and him would get along because Zadar and him would have that very straight-faced, money matters mentality.
I think he and Brodus would get along though.
No. Brutus is more like his squire.
That's
And
what it probably would end up being.
And I probably would just be, no offense, be the one in the duel that gets beaten up.
Brutus would
Brodus
be
is
the
a warlock.
NPC in that situation.
Not
And
anymore.
Gaheris just became part bard. So I think that there's
It's true.
a connection there.
Oh no.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my answer. Is I think Gaheris would get along with anyone, but I think either Verban or Sinra, or Zadar, or Garak. I don't know. It's hard to choose. I would have to know how the scene goes. First interactions are everything.
Who would Griaz get along with best?
I think Griaz would really respect Kier's stick-to-itiveness and would absolutely appreciate where Garak has kind of been a bunch of places, done a bunch of things, but also the whole death cleric thing. I think especially for a character that comes from the swamp, the whole circle of life aspect is very heavy. Like death is at 12 o'clock on that circle. So I feel like he would find a connection there. Plus, lizard folk, they hang out in swamps, they can breathe, or they can hold their breath underwater, and it's great. But yeah, Kier, as a fellow druid, but also wizard, and he's a druid rogue. They're like, yeah, let's wild shapes. Let's go on big cat adventures or whatnot. Turn into squirrels. I think he absolutely would be intimidated by Sinra, mostly because he's used to being around people in heavy armor, but Sinra is not as noble and easygoing as Ivran, and definitely not as glib and just smile in your face as Gaheris. Would absolutely appreciate the rogue abilities of Zed, because he is not even close to Zed's ability on that. And I don't know, Brodus is a chew toy? No. I feel like all of my characters just look at Brodus and go, all right, yeah, okay. Come on, show you to do something. This is a knife. No, it's a poisonous knife. Don't touch that side.
You know that meme that's I forget what from what kung fu movie it is, but it's the guy and he has a poison knife. He's like, one little touch from my knife will be quite lethal, and then he licks the knife as a threat, and he goes, I shouldn't have done that, and then he just dies. That's how I imagine Brodus.
Yeah, 100%. Don't give him magic items.
That's how he dies. That's the end of Brodus.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give Brodus a item that's roll a D100. If you roll 95 to 100, you instantaneously die and kill everything in a 30-foot radius. And Brodus is he's gonna roll a 96 first time using it.
Oh, no. you need to make it, 1 to 5. That's what happens. Anything above that, it's fair game.
Brodus is very much like Melvin, our sometimes wizard. Melvin is a wizard who has no offensive spells, doesn't get out a lot, and Gria's absolutely just like picks him up and carries him around like a baby. And I feel like Brodus would be the very same. Brodus is a little bit hardier as a dwarf, so Griaz might just carry him around to throw him at things sometimes. But
I mean, you have picked me up and carried me multiple times already.
That's why I play big characters.
It's true.
I got a question.
Sure.
What is everyone's backup characters if their primaries were to kick the bucket?
I mean, you met her, so.
even Kier, what was going to happen after?
Oh,
Kier?
I didn't have a backup for Kier. I knew she wouldn't die.
Fair.
Wow, the confidence.
It's fair.
Pulling up my hero forge because I don't remember.
Backup for Brodus, really probably. I had a couple ideas floating in my mind. There would be someone entirely new but related in some sort of way, whether it be from the kingdom or from his family history. But the other idea that was running through my head, because Bros was essentially an NPC, is just what it would be like to play Brodus's business partner. as the backup. Yeah.
Oh my.
So, that kind of was an idea that floated into my head, but I was just like, but what would he be? But the other idea would be going something a little bit hardier. Something that can take more than one hit and, go from there.
I think I was thinking of playing more of maybe a war wizard. Go straight wizard, which is rare for me. I never do solo classes. But I don't know about race. It probably would have depended on maybe what locale we were in at the time for what might make sense.
I was probably leaning towards artificer, just because a lot of the stuff kind of in the world tends to lend itself towards that. Maybe something like battlesmith, or I have a kobold that Graham is familiar with that I could pull into this game. So maybe I might be kobold, but probably leaning towards dwarf, considering where that was kind of our base of operations, and I just logistically would make sense for the story.
Yeah, pretty much same here. I didn't have one planned, but I can come up with character ideas pretty fast, and I definitely think would have gone with a dwarf, because that's just the easiest thing to do for this campaign. Once we got to the point where it was like we're lifting a curse on dwarves, I'm like, okay, I'd be one of those dwarves. I think if it had happened later on in the campaign after we picked up the mercenaries, I probably would have just talked to Graham about taking over one of those and just giving them class levels and having them be like, you know what, I'm actually really good at my job, or something, I don't know. And then they suddenly get 12 levels of fighter or whatever.
So we all should have died so that we all could just be like the squad. All except for Brodus.
Oh my.
Could you have imagined
Brodus is
if
last
all of
man
you had
standing
died
and just
except
gathers like
Brodus?
an A team of dwarves.
Oh, no. Graham, if you missed it, one of my backups in my head was potentially just taking over Lanthario.
Oh, yeah. I'm really sad none of you went with a goblin because I really wanted to see someone with like a bad, thick New York accent just being abrasive, because they're
So tough.
yeah, because it's literally 1920s New York underground in a little city of goblins, and then just coming out to the big world that they just discovered existed in like the past 20 years and being like, oh no.
What inspired you to play a gnoll, Derek? And how did you go about getting the race stuff for that together? Because that's not a published one, is it?
It is not official Wizards published. So I'd always wanted to play a gnoll because personally, I kind of mentioned before, I love the concept of gnolls. Even when you break them away from Yinogu and all of that mess, I think that they are a very interesting character. And I always like the art for them too. But the whole concept, like I said before, of Gnoll Ranger was just fantastic. But what I ended up using was Ken Baker's, it was his Eberron extension, which I can't remember the name of. I have it on my computer somewhere. But I think it was Explorer's Guide to Eberron, or that might have been the first one. Anyway, he put out, after Eberron got published officially into 5e, Kenneth Baker put out an accessory to it, which was a whole another book that he had published, and it had a few new races in it, in addition to a whole bunch of stuff that you could use for Eberron. And Gnolls and Eberron are just guys. There's no Yinogu in Eberron, so there's an entire country that is just all monstrous races who just live their lives, and everybody's really weird about it because Eberron's kind of shitty sometimes, but yeah, I just love the idea of a gnoll just going about their life. And D&D Beyond did have most of the stuff that was from that, so if anyone's curious, let's see, what do gnolls have? They have a bite attack, which I think I maybe used once. They have dark vision. They have rampage. So when you reduce creatures 0 hit points with a melee attack, you can take a bonus action to move up half your speed to make a bite attack. Verban rarely did melee, so didn't really use that. And then there's Blood Frenzy, which I believe I used in the last battle. If a creature you can see is at or below half of its hit point max, you can choose to gain advantage on all attacks against that creature, but you have to use your attack action each round to attack that creature until it's reduced 0 hit points, or you become incapacitated. So it's kind of like an interesting twist on a rage sort of deal. And I found them really versatile. So that almost makes them great for playing a barbarian. But I also really like the concept of playing them as a very perceptive ranger as well.
Just a quick note. The version that you found on D&D Beyond was actually a homebrew version that I had made prior to knowing any of this, and I think Graham just had it available because he and I have had campaign sharing up for years or whatever.
I balanced it against what was in the Eberron book, and it's exactly the same. So
I remember you brought that up shortly after it came out. That was really surprising to me. I feel great about myself. No.
You should. Yeah, he really took it from you. Who's this Vinny asshole? I don't care.
We've got another question from our audience. DM to me on Discord. Starts out, L! Derek, no! Can you please give us some parting words of advice or motivational speeches from Verban and Kier?
From Kier?
I mean, or Nay, your choice, I suppose.
No.
They did say Kier, though.
What they requested.
Kier, get lost, loser. I killed a dragon. Just...
Oh man, if I wanted to be super sappy and in character, it would be don't take family for granted, because you never know when you could lose them. Don't take anyone for granted, really. Because without meeting Verban and the rest of the group, Kier would have had nobody after, and squandered and threw away the years she could have had with Ning through anger. So yeah, love your friends and family, y'all. Unless they're like total dicks, then don't.
Yeah. Let's see. So Verban, the road that we walk in life may divert. It may branch out. You may stumble sometimes on loose stones or a bad path. Sometimes you may think you are lost. It is important that no matter where you walk your path and find people to walk it with you. And sometimes their paths may divert, and that is sad. But it is important that you spent the time with them that you had. And at the end of the day, when your feet are weary, remember that all paths lead to Thunder Jugs. Family fun restaurant. A fun family fun.
Oh gosh.
And what forest animal helps the druid or Kier in this instance get that nice green color for their robe?
Oh.
A dire wolf.
I love it.
My
Man.
soul is complete.
When Kier was saying don't take family for granted, I really was like thinking in the back of my head, like, unless they're a dwarf. Little dark, maybe.
No, that would be don't take family for granted.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know what?
I have a question for Garak, actually.
Ooh.
Does Garak feel satisfied with how the whole resolution to the caverns arc went? Because that was part of his backstory, right?
Which part? The stone dwarves, or
Yeah, he spent time
the
with them trying to figure that out, right?
spent over a decade learning dwarf culture, learning going to visit different sites, because he's found quite a bit of not just there, but Revgast, even the Desolation has dwarves that are in stone and just everywhere. He's found those different sites and relics. That part I haven't really. He hasn't really seen anything really happen.
I was gonna say he wouldn't even really know that anything had
Oh,
happened
yeah.
because they got
'Cause we
bamfed out of
got-
there before
right.
we went into the cavern and saw the dwarf ghosts.
So he's gonna find that out between seasons, right? So what would his
I mean, he might
feelings
find
be?
it out right at the next
Oh.
season. You don't know.
Okay. I thought we were okay. Cool.
So initially, if he feels he'll be very confused and unsure if this was actually it or not. He would have to go on probably another soul searching quest to figure that out and to verify everything, because he can't. His faith in Null is unquestioning. It's blind, and I wrote him that way, so seeing all that happen, was it really the after effect of just this dragon, or was it something else? Was it part of his faith as well, that things were just going to be complete? And he's not sure about that once he starts seeing everything, because right now he really doesn't know. And there's other things behind the scenes as well that he's trying to figure out too. So who knows? It'll have to be when he interacts with some people back at the Crystal Caverns, at least, because he'll have to talk to the speaker, the stone's Stone speaker, stone. Oh, I
There's
can't
the
remember
stone
her
singer,
name.
then there's the stone speaker.
Yeah, the speaker. Yeah, he'll have to go back and have a long conversation, which is for him. It's going to take a while.
That's fair.
Satisfied is not the word I would say that he would probably get to. There's always questions, but again, his whole purpose was to find out what happened and why they really just didn't just die. If there was life still left, and now they're back alive. Say, why are they back alive now? Why aren't they dead? Should they be dead? That's a whole nother aspect. I don't know. That might have turned him a little more evil than he already is.
Why aren't they dead? We need to fix this.
It's the same thing, not just the dwarves. It's the same thing with Sinra. He's still waiting on that moment to where Sinra is not supposed to be here. Which is another part of the backstory that didn't get fully unveiled. And these others that are now alive. So I'll be interested.
Looking at you, Brodus.
What?
Sorry. You're not a warlock. You're a
No.
barbarian.
I'm many things.
He took one level in every class.
He's absurd.
I just hit the gamut because that's what an NPC is.
We made a special NPC class. It's called Make Business Deals. Once per day, you can make a deal to have an ally take damage in your stead.
We're at the exact right level where you could actually have one level in every class.
Yeah, I could.
Actually, I do want to say my favorite NPC was Bad Timeline Stone Brodus, that old crazy Verban was just pouring kaboom all over.
Oh gosh, that was one of my favorite scenes. Was Sinra going into time to a world that was dying, where it was just Verban left in the Crystal Caverns and everyone else was stone, including Brodus.
That was sad.
It was a really depressing scene.
I still loved it though.
But like the fact that she couldn't bring Verban with her, I think was what really hurt. Was that she watched her friend just get eviscerated, who had been alone for God knows how long.
It's for the best.
Yeah.
Well, it went from Brodus going to a land with basically decimated and into an empty church, and then all of a sudden it's like, and here's apocalyptic Verban. Have fun.
Yeah, but then he was over there like ad-libbing how Zadar got like smashed, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was fantastic.
Love that scene.
Oh, that was a great scene. Ugh. But I think it's that time, friends. We are going to end a little bit early, do some call-outs, and, then raid a channel. It has been an absolute delight being here every other Tuesday to play Shards of Anarion with you all. We will be back after maybe a month, maybe 2-month break, depending on how long it takes me to draft up where I want this group to go. We do have 2 new cast members joining, who won't get announced until later. But, we've got new stories on the rise, and you know what? In the coming weeks, we will be announcing our new GMs once we have finished auditions for 2 new shows, one starting on Fridays and one starting on Wednesdays on the channel. So keep your eyes out for that, which will be super cool. But without further ado, let's get some happier music. Let's get some celebratory music. Huh? We don't get that too often here. Right?
Right.
Do 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 do. Your head now.
But what I would love to know from my fellow friends is, who are they? Where can we find them? And what are cool projects that they're working on?
start it off again. Truth, it's a pleasure to be part of this group. And I played Garok, the Lizard Folk Death Cleric, who's about to find a lot of things out. I love it. Projects, I pull a lot of offline games with people. I try to hang out as much as I can because they're all very interesting in that aspect, and that includes all the Discord servers and the other social media people that are just out there. They're all fantastic, and I can't wait to see what comes out in the future with everyone. No current big projects online. I always plan big, but it's the execution. I just gotta go for it. Oh yeah, that's me. L.
Yeah, I'm L. I want to thank each and every one of you, Pharaoh, Fox, Graham, Troke, Derek, Vinny. It's been a wild year and a bit, almost a year. And I've really enjoyed playing with all of you, and I'm super sad I can't come back for season 2, but it's just a lot going on right now. You can find me everywhere at L Street Gaming, but I kind of get to be like Vinny right now and say that you can't find me anywhere because I'm in the process of selling my house and moving, so I'm not on Twitter or in Discords or anywhere right now. So Derek, go ahead.
Hi everybody, I'm Derek Sword. Much like L, I will not be back for season 2, but it has been fantastic playing with every single one of these amazing people. I played Verban. He was an old, he was a ranger, he was a grave cleric, he was lots of things. Let's see, I also am moving, so I'm just going to copycat L on everything. But I am actually moving in 2 days across the entire country with just me and my dog. So I have a lot of stuff that is probably going to happen in the future, but I can't see into the future, so I can't tell you. But I'm anticipating it's going to be more games and podcasts and fun stuff like that. So best place to check out any of that is Twitter, dsword16. I will always update on all of my future projects there. Yeah, that's all I got. I'll hand it off to Fox.
Hey everyone, I'm Fox, or TTRPG Fox. I play Brodus. Brodus was a bardlock and is now a potentially barbarian, because why not? Go from half beard to 2.5 beard.
Is that the one with Charlie Sheen in it?
But as far as things right now, work is entirely way too busy, and I don't know my left from right now. So follow me on the Twitters. It's there. It's things.
Okay. With that, I am Pharaoh. I played Simda. I will be here for season 2 in the coming months, so you will see her again, I think. You can catch me here on Fridays for the Goldshine Investigations, which seems a little less aptly named since we recently left that organization and are now kind of going to war with them. So we'll see how that goes. That campaign is coming closer to an end in the coming weeks. Dangers abound. Old friends are now enemies. Were they really our friends? I don't know. I don't know. You can find me on Twitter at Ferocious. The link is in the chat. And until next time.
I'm Benny. I play Zadar, Blue Dragonborn Thief Rogue, and I will also probably, as far as I know right now, be back for season 2. Like El said, I cannot be found anywhere. I do not exist. I'm a figment of your imagination. I'm a false memory that has been implanted into your brain while you were asleep. And as is tradition, I will say what I'm working on, even though you're not going to find it anywhere because it's in a Google Doc that I will not be sharing with anybody. But it is D&D related. It's a magic item I just, I made it at work today. It's called a creepy ceramic cat. It's an uncommon item. This ceramic cat has smoked topaz gems set in each of its 6 eye sockets. Thin reptilian pupils form inside the eyes and look in the direction of any undead within 60 feet that are not protected by divination magic, growing wider the closer they are to the undead creature. And that's what I've been doing with my time. Don't worry about what it's for or who's going to be getting it, because it's not relevant. Anyway, I'm done talking now.
Oh, goodness. Well, here we are at the end of the trail leading to Season 2. What mischief will happen? What terrible, terrible things do I have in store? You'll never know until Season 2. Will Garak, have to deal with some repercussions of calling on his deity to save him? Who knows? Will Zadar, have some nice, surely not dramatic at all, conversations with his family and his daughter? Will Sinra's family be safe? Will Brodus ever leave the mountain? These are all questions that you can find the answers to on Season 2 when we resume. But for now, I am Graham, or Graham Crackers. I had the absolute delight of being your DM tonight and interview question asker. But I'm delaying, as you can see. You can find me here every Friday at Goldshine Investigations, where I play Lord Gaheris Nervos Blackmont, who just got engaged to one of the party members. So they have a fiance now, and also is a lord, and has a castle in the middle of a plain of nightmares. But outside of that, you can find me here next Tuesday for the Anarion's Rest finale, where we will be doing Q&As for them as well and finishing up their show. And then we'll have a few weeks off while I figure out my life and where all these characters' lives are going. Because that's a lot. But outside of that, you can find me, that's pretty much it right now. But I do have some projects in the works, so keep your eyes out, and I will tell you more when I can. As always, stay happy, stay healthy. We may be headed offline now, but it's only for just now. We'll be back, making more memories with you at another time. So thank you everyone who has tuned in, whether you are new or old. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. This place couldn't be the place it is without you. We are going to raid our wonderful friends, Behold Roleplay. We're playing some Dungeons & Dragons, so why don't we say, let's end it with either a Verban or a Ning quote.
I feel like a Ning quote might be better.
Yeah. Verban, come to
Or a
Thunder
quote from
Drums.
everyone.
Oh no, I wasn't ready.
I know.
If you're trying to murder the moon, aim for the stars, so then at least you kill something.
I like it. I like it.
Very
All
wise.
right, everyone.
You nailed
Thank
it.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. We will see you soon. Don't be a stranger. You're always welcome here.